Okay, so ready to dive into the three-body problem.
Let's do it.
You guys have sent in excerpts from the start of this whole epic by Cixin Liu.
Yeah.
So think of this as like a roadmap
Yeah.
to those crucial early chapters.
Absolutely.
We'll break it all down, the characters, the setting, all the need-to-know stuff
Yep.
to get you totally hooked.
Totally. And I think what grabs you right away is how Cixin just throws us into this crazy time, 1967 China, the Cultural Revolution. It's intense.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's not like some dry history lecture or anything.
No, not at all.
He throws in these vivid, kind of raw details that make it all come alive.
It's visceral.
Like, remember that part about the Red Guards going after the April 28th Brigade?
Oh, yeah.
He describes their flags as flames yearning for firewood.
Intense imagery. Right away, you get thrown into this world of chaos, violence. You're right there.
Yeah, and it's against this backdrop that we meet Ye Wenjie.
Our main character.
And her story is, well, it starts with this tragedy.
A tough one. Cixin puts us right there in the struggle session. Her father, Ye Wenjie, the physicist, he's being publicly shamed.
Yeah, and that scene with his own wife, Shaolin, denouncing him on stage.
Brutal.
Just brutal. And it shows how personal betrayals were used as weapons back then.
Totally. And what I find so interesting is Ye Wenjie himself. He's like weirdly calm in all the chaos.
Yeah, like he sees right through it.
Almost like he knows it's all pointless, you know? And then Cixin gives us that image of his blood on the stage.
Oh, yeah.
Like the steps of someone walking away. Haunting.
That one stays with you. And then Wenjie gets sent off to a labor camp, totally isolated. And that's where she finds that book that changes everything.
Silent Spring.
Silent Spring, right?
Such a powerful book, even now. But for her, it was more than just a book.
It was an awakening.
Exactly. It's about environmental destruction. And for Wenjie, it opens up this whole new way of thinking, like a crack in the wall of this rigid ideology she's always known.
And then she gets betrayed again.
Oh, man, poor Wenjie.
Framed for a letter criticizing the government, she gets sent to Red Coast Base.
Super secretive military project, shrouded in mystery. Cixin's great at building suspense that way. Even Wenjie inside this place, she has no clue what Red Coast is really about at first.
And then Commissar Lee drops that bombshell on her. That they're trying to contact aliens, extraterrestrial intelligence. It changes everything. We're not just talking about problems here on Earth anymore.
It goes way beyond that. Think about it, Red Coast. At its core, it's this desperate search for meaning. Like, what's our place in this universe that can feel so indifferent?
Right. And just when you think you're starting to get a handle on things, Cixin throws us for a loop. Fast forward to the present day.
Time jump.
And we meet Wang Miao. He's a nanomaterials researcher. And his story unfolds alongside Wenjie's.
Yeah, and you start to see how Cixin's weaving this huge, intricate story, right?
Absolutely.
Wang Miao starts having these strange experiences. Like, there's a countdown that keeps appearing in his vision.
Right.
Creepy phone calls, and it all seems connected to his work somehow. It's like reality itself is glitching out.
That's creepy. And then he gets sucked into this mysterious online game, Three Body.
Oh, yeah.
Right away, you get this feeling that something huge is going on, even if you can't quite put your finger on it yet.
The game itself is such a cool concept. You're simulating this alien civilization, the Trisolarans. They live on a planet with 3 suns.
Hence the title.
Exactly. And it throws players into this completely chaotic world. I mean, imagine a civilization trying to survive on a planet where you have no idea when the sun's going to rise or set.
Or if it's going to be crazy hot or freezing cold.
Right. It's brutal.
And you just have these short periods of stability.
And that's what makes the game so brilliant as part of the story. It's not just entertainment. It becomes a way for Cixin to explore the challenges of science itself. Think about it. In the game, the rules are always changing. Just like in real science, what we think we know can be totally upended at any moment.
It makes you question everything.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it raises so many questions for the reader, too. Who created this game? What's the real purpose? Is it even just a game at all?
Right. And to answer those questions, we've got to go back to Ye Wenjie. Because in the present day, she comes back into the picture as this mentor figure for Wang Miao.
Yeah.
And this is where we really get into the heart of it all, the scientific concept of the three-body problem itself.
And it's not just some random physics problem Cixin threw in there.
Right.
It's central to the whole story. The three-body problem, it's all about how these 3 celestial bodies, like stars or planets, are moving under each other's gravity.
Okay.
And the thing is, there's no general solution to perfectly predict their movements.
So it's unpredictable.
Exactly. And that unpredictability becomes this huge metaphor in the book.
Okay, so we've got Wenjie and Wang Miao, two sides of this big mystery.
Right.
But then Cixin throws another curveball.
Oh, yeah.
The Earth Trisolaris organization, better known as the ETO.
Okay, now this is where it gets really wild.
Can you imagine a group of humans actually rooting for an alien invasion?
It's like humanity's messed up. Let's bring in the aliens to fix things. Radical.
It's like they're saying, humans had their shot and we blew it. But what would make someone turn against their own species like that?
That's where Cixin really gets into human nature, you know? Look at Ye Wenjie. She lived through the Cultural Revolution, saw firsthand how destructive people can be.
And then there's Silent Spring.
Right, exactly. Open her eyes to how we're destroying the planet.
It's like all these things just piled up made her lose faith in humanity.
And Red Coast Base. That just made it worse, you know?
How so?
Even in this top-secret project trying to reach out to the stars, she sees the same patterns. The politics, the secrets, the potential for everything to go wrong.
Yeah, I remember that part where she's talking about the universe. Describes herself as like a poor child abandoned in the desert.
Heartbreaking, like the weight of everything she's seen has just crushed her.
So that makes her decision to answer the Trisolarans even more significant?
Huge.
She knows it's risky, could be a disaster, but she does it anyway.
Like she's reached a point where any hope, even from aliens, is better than the path we're on.
It's a decision born of despair, almost.
But also this weird kind of longing for something better. Which brings us back to the ETO and why they'd do something like that.
Right. But they're not all the same, are they?
No, not at all. Cixin shows us how divided they are. Different factions, different ideas about what's best or what they think is best.
You've got the Adventists who think the Trisolarans are going to save us.
Yeah.
Like, wipe the slate clean.
Exactly, a fresh start. And then you have the Redemptionists who think humans can still be saved, but only with the Trisolarans' help.
Wild.
It adds this whole other layer to the story, right? It's not just us versus them. It makes you think about the fact that even in a group that wants aliens to invade, there are shades of gray. Different ideas about what's good for humanity.
And he makes these characters feel real.
Oh, absolutely.
Like Panhan, that leader in the ETO. He really believes in their mission.
Yeah.
It's a mix of idealism and this deep hatred for humanity.
He's fascinating. Charming one minute, ruthless the next.
And then Ye Wenjie ends up killing him, which shows just how far she's willing to go.
She's tough, making impossible choices.
And then we have Wang Miao, who's like the opposite. He doesn't trust the ETO. He's a scientist. He wants proof.
Logic and reason.
Which makes his journey through the three-body game even more interesting.
Totally. It's like he's going through the scientific process in its purest form.
How so?
He's thrown into this crazy, unpredictable world. Everything he thought he knew gets turned upside down.
And it messes with him. Imagine experiencing that firsthand.
The fear, the uncertainty, the laws of physics breaking down.
Yeah, no thanks.
But it's through that he finally understands the threat.
That the Trisolarans aren't here to help us.
No, they're desperate. And they will do whatever it takes to survive.
Even if it means wiping us out. And that's where the Sophins come in.
Talk about a game changer. These subatomic particles are like weapons of fast disruption. Imagine your experiments going haywire, being watched constantly, your sense of reality messed with. That's the power of the Sophins.
It's like he's saying, humans can be destructive. Well, guess what? We're not the only ones. Freaky.
Makes you think, right? About our place in the universe. We think we're so smart, in control.
Top of the food chain.
Exactly. But the Sophins, they're like this wake-up call. We're just this tiny, fragile species. Remember Carl Sagan? A pale blue dot.
Right. There could be things out there so advanced we can't even imagine.
And we'd be totally unprepared.
It's scary, for sure. But man, is it a page turner, right? Knowing what we know now, I gotta know how humanity deals with this. Can we fight back, outsmart them, or are we doomed?
That's what Cixin does so well. These excerpts give you this taste of this huge conflict, but then there are all these questions about science, technology, what it means to be human. They really get under your skin.
I know. Like, one thing that got me was how he ties the past and present together. Wenjie's experiences in the Cultural Revolution.
Right.
That wasn't just backstory.
Right.
It shapes her whole worldview, which led her to contact the Trisolarans in the first place.
The past never really dies, does it? The choices people made back then, the things they went through, it echoes through time.
It's like Cixin saying we're not just living our own lives, but we're part of this bigger story.
Absolutely, carrying the weight of everyone who came before us.
And it's not just about the past either. Think about Wenjie and Wang Miao. They're both trying to find meaning in this chaotic universe.
Total opposites, though, right? Wenjie's been through so much she's disillusioned. But there's still this hope for something better, even if it means risking everything.
And Wang Miao's all about logic, evidence, the scientific method.
But both of them come face to face with the limits of what we can know, the idea that some things might just be beyond us.
And that's where Cixin's writing is so powerful. He doesn't shy away from the big questions, does he? Like, is science a force for good? Or can it be used to hurt people? Can we escape our own destructive nature?
Right. And maybe the scariest thing we learn is that the Trisolarans, they're not here to save us.
Like benevolent aliens.
No, not at all. They're desperate, and they see humanity as a problem to get rid of. It makes you realize maybe we're not the only ones who do whatever it takes to survive.
So we've gone from the Cultural Revolution to a planet with 3 suns, from a secret military base to subatomic particles that can change reality.
What a ride.
The 3-body problem isn't just sci-fi. It's a reflection of who we are, what we fear, what we're capable of.
And it leaves you with this question. If we were Ye Wenjie, would we make the same choice? Knowing everything we know, would we risk humanity's fate for a chance at something new? That's what Cixin leaves us with.
And that's what makes you want to keep reading, right? To find out what happens next. So, for everyone listening, if you want to explore the mind-bending universe of the 3-body problem, check out the link in the show notes where you can find the book. We'll be back next week with another deep dive. Until then, keep those pages turning.